What's up, YouTube? It's Jay. So, Nanatsu no Taizai chapter 287 is officially in the history books. And, oh boy, do I have a lot of good things to say about this chapter. First off, let me start off by saying that I am really looking forward to seeing more of Zelda's. And I guess I had that hype with me about Zelda's ever since the seal was broken, and they kept comparing, the appearance of Zelda's and Meldoris and the voices, and I'm like, okay, so he gonna have to be at least strong as Meliodas. We can pretty much say that Zelda's is probably as strong as Meliodas was when he lost against the one, but Zelda's probably stronger than that. So, let's break the chapter down first. So, of course, we start off the chapter with where we left off in 286, with Zeldaris unleashing his true power, Ominous Nebula. And boy, oh freaking boy, the Zeldaris just proves why demons are just OP. Demons I've seen in most anime and shonen manga are freaking OP, and Zeldaris is no exception to that list. The power to be the center of attraction and literally pull things into you, as well as striking with an unknown attack that they can't see, and being one of the greatest swordsmen of the demon clan, even greater than Meliodas. Let's just get that out the way. Zeldaris' technique was pretty terrifying. Then on the other side, of course, you got the boy Escanor, Rugisil, basically just those two just getting the worst of it. You have Hendrickson and Gil Thunder there, but, I mean, come on. Do you really expect any sideline characters to actually be important? I mean, at this point in time, we all can just assume that it's going to come down to Rugisil on probably his last breath in Margaret's body, and he's just going to jump to Hendrickson or just come out. Either way it goes, I'm saying, predicting. It's another word for it. I'm just not. I haven't caught it yet. But what I think is going to happen is, like I said, it's going to get to the point where Rugisil is going to be at his limit with Margaret's body and be forced to either throw Margaret's body as a distractional object, which pulls in Gil Thunder, and then he might go to Hendrickson, or, But anyway, Escanor during this chapter really stood out the most to me. More than normally, because, anytime you have a chapter with Escanor's going to stand out because he's the son. All hail Lord Escanor. But, seeing how during Zelda's attack, Escanor was able to implant his foot deep in the ground to to not be sucked in by Zelda's attack. Rugisil, just flying all over the place. Bumping into Escanor was like, my bad. It was funny, okay? Escanor is funny. Escanor is pure arrogance and funny. And I love his character. I do. And to it was another funny part in the chapter where Rugisil is talking about how his word is of the highest being, of the realm, and how dare you not take orders from me. To Rugisil again not thrown, but kind of slipping and and falling back to Zeldaris, and Merlin just like, Escanor, would you mind giving her a hand? And Escanor's like, sure. And just starts helping out. Just start helping Rujasil. That was funny. But it also goes to show what I might say a real man will actually do. Because I'm not finna take orders from nobody. But if it's my woman, the woman I love, oh, I'm taking orders all day, boo-boo. Salud. But there's not much to say about this chapter other than it's a setup for the next chapter, which every chapter is, but this was actually one of those setups for the return of the tag team Graces, Flash, and Sunshine. Speaking of, the Graces, I also want to point out that while this fight is going on within Taizai now, when it started out, the first thing that they did mention was this is before Esther. This is before Mael's awakening. So another thing I've been really wondering is when that time comes that Mael awakens during this fight. There were a couple of scenes back in the previous chapters when he awoken where you had one with Cusack and Zeldaris, and you had one with Rujasil, Gil Thunder, and Hendrickson. A little shot of them being, well, not Hendrickson and Gil Thunder, but Rujasil. You had a shots of those three being affected by the curse being, well, not the curse, the spell being broken. So I want to see when it gets to that point during that fight to see, how does the fight gonna lead up to that point? If Nakaba Sensei is going to that point, how are we gonna get from this well hyped up fight, because I'm pretty sure that this fight is gonna be well hyped up, to a little pause in the break, and then what's gonna happen after that? This is still the last fight before the major fight, hopefully, and I just cannot wait. Another thing. The chapter 287 starts out with Meliodas, his sayings to Liz, once I gather all the 10 commandments and become the Demon King, I can fulfill my promise. That was the only thing that had any mention of Meliodas. Or he might have been talking to Zeldaris. That might have been Meliodas talking to Zeldaris and telling him that Gelda is alive. Let's talk about that for a minute. My boy Meliodas purposely sealed away, let's call her his sister-in-law, because technically, if everything was lovey-dovey, that technically would it be, but instead of killing her like I had originally thought he did way back in Hindenburg, I botched that completely. I feel that deep in my soul that I botched that name. But all Taizai fans, you know what I'm talking about. Back in the vampire flashback that they did. And thinking about it more and more now, and I'm like, instead of him killing, because I originally thought Meliodas killed her, and that was it. That was the cause of that huge hole. That was that big explosion. Well, the big explosion we all know now is that was Escanor. And now it makes me wonder, since Meliodas just sealed her away, was she down in that hole that Zelda was, and company had first examined when they got to the castle? You remember back in the anime, I want to say the second episode? Yeah, it had to be the second episode, because that's when they left the cave. But the second episode, they were, examining the castle. They were looking down the hole and was wondering, who would do something like that. There's traces of Meliodas here. So I bet, now I'm thinking more and more about that scene. I bet in Zelda's mind, that went a little deeper in thought. Because he's probably in his mind, he's like, why would Meliodas come back here when there's nothing here? Y'all have to forgive me. I live in the hood side of cities. So I hear gunshots every day. Anyway. But it had me thinking, like, in Zelda's mind, what is Meliodas doing here? Like, there's nothing here. But to know that Meliodas just resealed her until the moment was right makes me think, how much pre-planning has Meliodas done? Because remember, think about this. We really can't read what Meliodas is thinking. He's not your typical on an MC where he'll have a thought bubble in his head and you know what he's thinking. No, nobody expected for Zelda's girlfriend to still be alive. What else has Meliodas been planning? What else is Meliodas planning? Or was this the final plan? Was this the final plan and the last resort for Meliodas? Taizai, the Nanatsu no Taizai chapter 287 is in the history books. Let me know down below what y'all think, man.